little bit of an indication that there was more to come. We had some difficulties in the early part of the first race. Our first retirement basically gave us a bit of a headache and a little bit of a difficulty for the contenders when we ended up having a bit of a moment, unfortunately, for the first retirement, which was Yao Liang Bo having a problem with his car. It ended up him spinning on his own oil, essentially, and going out of the race. Around the same sort of time, we also had a retirement from the DW Evans GT car. It was the Frenchman Emilien Card who was at the wheel. So sadly, his new teammate for this weekend, Alex Sawyer, did not get the chance to take the wheel of that car. He, of course, is substituting this weekend for Nazim Azman, who had an injury to his leg. So unfortunately, Nazim Azman could not take up his seat. So it is Alex Sawyer, the man who is currently dominating the F4 Southeast Asia Championship, who is currently racing in strong position for the first time in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. He was due to take to the circuit for the first time yesterday, but obviously with Emilien Card retiring the DW Evans GT car before his stint, he didn't get the chance to race at all. So this will be the young teenager's chance to go racing in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia for the first time, and he is, of course, making his debut as the youngest man on the grid. So that'll be a really exciting opportunity for him to showcase what he can do. Yesterday's race also saw, because of the incident for Yao Liang Bo, a safety car period that bunched up the pack, and it gave us an absolute thrilling last lap encounter between the SJM Theodore Racing driver Charles Leong and the BC Racing driver Jonathan Cicotto, and it was the latter who managed to storm around on behind Charles Leong's car and put off an amazing final lap maneuver to take the victory in magnificent style yesterday. It was an absolute hellraiser of a last lap battle between the two of them. And so Jonathan Cicotto taking the victory by just 0.8 of a second after snatching the win on the very last lap. Third position in that race was the combination of the RaceCraft pairing of Ling Kang and Jung Lee, the local driver here in South Korea. Fourth position going to Ethan Brown and Nicholas Piertalati, who is really settling into life as Ethan Brown's current teammate for the Lepert Motorsport team. It's a rather ambivalent weekend for the Lepert Motorsport team at the moment, because as we make our way to the grid, as you can see, the contenders in the Lepert Motorsport car that is for car number 89 is a little bit somber this weekend. The combination of Judgeon Song and Brendan Leitch. There is a little bit of a somber feeling in the air at the moment, and that is rather unfortunate, of course, and that is due to the rather sad news that the former teammate of Brendan Leitch, Tim Miles, rather sadly passed away in the last couple of weeks following an accident while cycling in downtown Sydney. So very unfortunate indeed that we have to hear that somber news going into the weekend. However, Brendan Leitch has basically been racing in his honour for the course of this weekend. He starts this race actually from fourth position on the grid, so I'm sure that Tim is looking down at him with a wry grin, hoping that he's going to pull off something special going into this race. All the drivers that started race one yesterday are now going to sit on the sidelines and let their co-drivers start today. We had some really good battles. Just to confirm the podium finishes in each class yesterday before the drivers make their way to the grid. We obviously had a pro win for BC Racing, Gavin Hang and Jonathan Cicotto. SJM Theodore had the combination of Charles Leong and Alex Denning. There is the 5-minute board about to go up on the course. And then RaceCraft were third for Ling Kang and Jung Lee. In the Pro-Am category, the winners were Climax Racing for Cao Ziquan and Liu Kaixun. The Z-Speed car was in second place. The early leaders overall, Tim Zimmerman alongside Chen Chunhua. And then the third place team in Pro-Am was the SQDA Grit car of Liang Jiatong and Li Changwu. Then we had the victors in the AM category. It is the Malaysian pairing of Haziq and Hadi Zadalo for the HZO Fortis Racing team by Absolute. They took the victory in AM alongside the Lees, that is Li Donghui and Li Dongsheng for Climax. And then third in the AM category was the Thai driver for True Vision Motorsports, Sutaduk Boncharong. In the Lamborghini Cup yesterday, it was a victory for the Thai driver Superchai Wadaborumpong for Siam Gas Course in front of Goeng Peng and Kim Sang-ho of RaceCraft in second. And then the Batmobile racing car was third for Shinji Takei and Kumar Prabhakaran. So it's going to be a very different battle today. There is Jonathan Cecotto, the man who stormed to the victory on the last lap of yesterday's first encounter. And it really is going to be another interesting battle for him as he goes from pole position, of course, with a brilliant opportunity to continue his trajectory. He's going to be alongside the man who he battled with for victory in yesterday's final lap, Charles Leong. So they renew their battle. There is Alex Denning just having a chat with Charles Leong as he prepares for the excitement and the battles once again for SJM Theodore. It'll be a really close encounter for the two of them on the front row of the starting grid. Third position for Brendan Leitch alongside his Chinese teammate. It's going to be a really exciting duel for these two, and obviously they will be racing in the honour and in the spirit of competition in favour of their fallen colleague Tim Miles. So Judgin Song and Brendan Leitch together there in position 3 on the starting grid. It'll be very much in the mindset for Brendan Leitch to try and charge his way forward. I have a feeling it's going to be a really exciting battle for these two as they continue to make steady progress off the starting grid. Next up on the starting grid, it is going to be the number 16 car. That is the one that is shared by Alex Sawyer and Emilien Card. So there is the young Vietnamese driver, youngest man on the starting grid, dominating in the F4 Southeast Asia Championship so far in 2025. He has won all but one of the races in that category so far this year. And so the teenager, who also has a little bit of Formula Regional European experience, is going to be fighting his quarter on the second row of this starting grid. Next up in P5, it's car number 7. That's going to be driven by Jung Lee, who is, of course, the local favourite here at the Inje Speedium in South Korea. And he and the team for RaceCraft are going to be starting from 5th position on the starting grid, sharing that car, of course, as he does with Ling Kang. So it'll be very exciting to see what he can do from 5th position on the grid. He would dearly love to give them a second podium in as many days to put one of their local stars on the rostrum. They managed to do so yesterday with a 3rd place finish. 6th position on the grid is the 83 car. It's the Arrows racing machine of Wiron Tan. He shares that car, of course, with Marcin Min. So these two competitors are going to be very fast out of the blocks for the Malaysian Wiron Tan. But by the time he hands over to Dr. Ma Chi Min, it's going to be an interesting one when they change over, but surely Wiron Tan can do a lot of work in the first stint to get him far ahead. They are in the Pro-Am category, so expect the pace to be very different once Dr. Ma gets behind the wheel. Then we've got the Climax Racing team car. This is Ling Kang and Lu Ziwei. Now, Ling Kang, of course, is the man who qualified the fastest lap of anybody in this year's Sepang 12 hours, so a very impressive driver, Ling Kang. And definitely one to watch out for from the start of proceedings. So he gets himself ready to go from his position on the starting grid. It'll be a tricky one for him to maintain the pace early doors, but he's right up at the sharp end. Next up, it is the number 63, the SQDA Grit Motorsport car that got a podium yesterday in Pro-Am. It is Liang Jiatong and Chang Woo Lee that will take this particular car. Another Korean national. He will take over the car rather than start it, as Jung Woo Lee will do on this occasion. Nice little high five before he gets himself shut in, ready for the run. Here's the Climax Racing number 3. This is the winning car from Pro-Am yesterday with Cao Zikwan at the wheel of the car alongside his teammate Liu Kai-shun, who will take over the car a little bit later on. So that's going to be a very interesting duel between the competitors in the midfield there. And then the Climax Racing team, this is the Li brothers. It is Li Dongsheng who will start the race. Li Donghui will take over the car a little bit later on. But certainly the Climax Racing team hoping for a bit more success than yesterday. They were second in the AM category yesterday, narrowly missing out on the victory over the Zarel O pairing. So that'll be an interesting one to see if they can turn the tables this time. Number 33 next up. This is the Batmobile racing car. Japanese driver Shinji Takei will start the race alongside his teammate Kumar Prabhakaran. There's a lot of excitement there for the competitors as they get themselves geared up. All the fans and family of Shinji Takei getting themselves ready for a great start. Lovely scenes as Shinji is getting himself ready for a very big push. He wants to make sure that he can hand over to his Malaysian colleague Kumar Prabhakaran with the Batmobile car way up in the front end of the grid. Way down the order, the number 27, Ethan Brown, lining up for Lepert Motorsport. Expect him to charge through the field like scissors through wet newspaper before he hands over to his pro teammate Nicholas Bertolatti. All smiles and giggles from Ethan Brown, the Singaporean. He knows he's not got a lot to worry about here from 12th on the grid. He can just push his way forward. The only way is up for him and the team at this stage. Number 13 on the grid is the number 5 car. That is Hari Zadalo for the HZO Fortis by Absolute Squad. They got the victory in the AM category yesterday, so expect big things from them again today on that 7th row of the starting grid. Harry is behind the wheel. He'll give over to Hazik a little bit later on in the stint, of course. 50-minute races here, and the pit stop window, they'll tell us when it's open during the course of the race itself. Number 67 next up. This is the car that hit trouble yesterday for Yao Lingbao. It's his teammate Zhang Yaqi that's going to take the start of the race on this occasion. And he will be starting from 14th on the grid. Hopefully, there's not going to be any flames shooting out of the Climax Racing car today like there was yesterday. 15th on the grid is number 15. It is Chen Chunhua who will start the race, then handing over to his Pro-Am teammate Tim Zimmerman, who's been very strong so far this weekend. They actually led the race outright in the early part of yesterday, the German talent for the Z Speed squad. 16th on the grid, it is going to be Dippo Fitramadan in the number 86 car. He will start the race with his teammate Umar Abdullah taking over at the Delta Garage by Absolute Squad. He will be starting from 16th on the grid, Dippo. So let's see what he can do. Number 17 is P17. I'm loving the symmetry on the grid today. For the RaceCraft squad, it is Kim Sang-ho who lines up alongside his teammate Goeng Peng. So the two drivers are going to work their way further forward. There is Sang-ho Kim, another one of the talented Korean nationals here on home soil, hoping to work his way up through the field. The remaining cars on the grid, 18th position will be the number 71. That is the solo ace, Superchai with a Bourbompong. So he is going to be taking up his position 18th on the grid for Siam Gas Course. 19th on the grid for the 78 car. That is going to be Sutaduk Buncharon, the man who came 3rd in the AM category yesterday for True Vision Thailand. Then the 51 will be 20th on the starting grid. That is Brian Huang, who will give the car over to Johnson Huang a little bit later on for BC Racing. And at the back of the grid, it is the number 77, the Lone Ranger in the Lamborghini Cup, number 77 racecraft car. That is Yugo Tanabe. So we're getting ourselves ready then for the start of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia 2025, round 4, race 2 here in Korea at the Inje Speedium. I'm Jake Sanson. Great to be with you in the commentary box once again as we get ourselves geared up and ready for a very tough race. If yesterday's encounter is anything to go by, this will be a nail-biter right the way to the checkered flag. It was a very tricky duel at the closing stages of yesterday's race that saw Jonathan Cecotto snatch the win from under the nose of Charles Leong and the SJM Theodore team that have had so much success going through the season. So BC Racing very much on a high note coming into this one, and they will want to continue that form into the second race. But Jonathan Cecotto, who will start this race from pole position, has one task and one task alone: get into the lead and pull clear. He does not want to have anybody behind him on his tail. He wants them to be a long way behind him. So into the formation lap we go then. The Inje Speedium, quite an underrated circuit in Southeast Asia, it has to be said. And it's great to see all of the drivers getting their way through this very fast-flowing first turn that really tightens up through the second and third apexes uphill as it works its way forward. Then into turn 4, this very tight hairpin that puts them through onto a high trajectory. So here is the grid once again. Jonathan Cecotto starting the race from Charles Leong with Brendan Leitch, 3rd position on the grid. Alongside him is going to be Alex Sawyer, the teenager from Vietnam, putting himself into position. Then it is 5th on the grid for Jung Lee, 6th on the grid for Wiron Tan. And then it is Ling Kang and Liang Jiatong on the 4th row of the grid. Zhao Ziquan and Li Dongsheng next up. Then Shinji Takei and Ethan Brown lining up in P12 of the grid. A lot of work to do for the Lepert Motorsport car. Hari Zadalo alongside Zhang Yaqi, and then Chen Chunhua and Deepa Fitramadan lining up in 16th position on the starting grid. Then it will be Sang-ho Kim flying the flag for South Korea for RaceCraft. Then it is the Siam Gas and True Vision Thailand drivers, Superchai with a Bonorapong and Bobby Sutadak Puncherong lining up in position. At the back of the grid, it will be Brian Huang and Yugo Tanabe for BC and RaceCraft respectively. So the 21 cars ready to do battle here once again on the Inje Speedium. Yesterday's race was full of drama and intrigue, and I have a feeling today's is not going to be any different. So the competitors will have a very strong race in front of them with a lot of good battles to come as the Lamborghini Urus runs its way around the course, and the Lamborghini Huracans in tow. Although, of course, we've already heard recently that it's not going to be long until those Lamborghini Huracans are, of course, replaced. We've seen the announcements about the new Lamborghini Temerario GT3 car that's coming, and that looks absolutely sensational. Really excited for when that becomes the normal standard race car in Super Trofeo Asia. We'll get announcements as to when that's going to happen very soon indeed. But of course, knowing that the Temerario GT3 is going to go into production in-house at Lamborghini as well. Very big step for Lamborghini's commitment to future world motorsport. So that'll be an exciting chapter in the brand's development. But for the moment, it's going to be Cecotto and Leong that will go side by side and charge for the lights to go out. And we will go racing for the first time here at Inje Speedium today. Hopefully there are not going to be too many stoppages or safety cars. But when the lights go out, we get underway for Super Trofeo Asia Race 2. Let's race at Inje. Good start from Cecotto, no worries at all, but Charles Leong is already trying to track him down, and the fast starting number 5 in the line, Jung Lee, is going to push his way past Alex Sawyer. So too is Huracan in the Arrows Racing car. So already some big moves, and up into second place has come Brendan Leach. So Brendan Leach for Lepert is right into P2. As the drivers work their way through on the first lap, trying to stay out of trouble, but it's Jonathan Cecotto who leads. Brendan Leach in second place. Charles Leong is down to third position, trying desperately not to lose too much ground here, but Jung Lee, the Korean, is threatening to take the position away. Up into fifth place has come Huracan. Down to P6 goes the teenager from Vietnam, Alex Sawyer, in the DW Evans GT car, but he's already hopping over the curbs, trying to get his way back into the action. Ling Kang is not far away either. So a very positive start then for Jung Lee. Good start. Oh, it's Ling Kang who's actually got ahead of Huracan and Alex Sawyer. So Ling Kang in the white Huracan has worked his way up into fifth position there. Terrific start from Ling Kang under the circumstances. So a very positive move forward then, as it is the BC racing car that leads the way from the Lepert Motorsport number 89 of Brendan Leach. They break heavily down into the hairpin. This is where the lead changed at the last lap yesterday for Jonathan Cecotto, but it's not Charles Leong that's threatening him for the lead here. It's Brendan Leach, and there's extra impetus and extra firepower for the Kiwi, who is flying in honour of Tim Miles. So he's going to be pushing all the way as they cross the line to complete the lap, and Jonathan Cecotto leads from the Lepert 89 of Brendan Leach. Then it is Charles Leong in the SJM Theodore. Number 7, Jung Lee, doing a great job so far as Alex Sawyer is trying to fend off from Huracan in the early stages of this one into the hairpin for the first time. Brendan Leach getting very late on the brakes as he goes after Jonathan Cecotto. Great to see these two putting on a good show already. Little bit of a change in trajectory there for Brendan Leach, who goes for a slightly different racing line to that of Jonathan Cecotto. Clearly he's got a better feeling of the car. He had a very difficult race yesterday because, of course, he had to take over after a bit of a difficult stint for Jung Song. But you can expect the pro drivers in these Pro-Am teams to stay out a little bit longer than their amateur counterparts. They all run on different licenses, of course, but it's fairly straightforward. Pro driver teams have 2 drivers that are pro. Pro-Am drivers have 1 pro and 1 am. And the am teams, well, they have 2 amateurs. And then, of course, we have the Lamborghini Cup. That is for elder statesmen within the competition. So down to the hairpin. Good run for Jonathan Cecotto. But look at Brendan Leach already starting to hustle him as they go up the crest once again. Storming out through that fairly fast-flowing right-hander. There's a lot of camber change, a lot of elevation change on this Inje Speedium. I wish we used this circuit more for international competition. It'd be pretty cool if Formula 1 came here one day too, but it does need a bit of work before it gets there. We've already got a first warning for track limits for Harry Zarel O. So it's already very significant that the HZ040s by Absolute Team are running the gauntlet on only the end of the second lap. So we ride on board with the RaceCraft car. This is Jung Lee, the home hero. Third yesterday, hoping for a victory today, but he's got to work very hard in collaboration with his teammate, as that's Alex Sawyer getting his move on the inside of Ling Kang. So the Vietnamese driver proving that he is just as good with a roof over his head as he is with a halo over his head. Excellent work for the Vietnamese driver, and that move has put Ling Kang on the back foot, because now Wirontan and Liang Jiatong are all over the back of him. Diving for the move on the inside line, Wirontan really starting to hunt for these overtaking places. Can he get the move? Alex Sawyer scampering away, Wirontan on the inside of Ling Kang. I really wanted to stay with that. Oh, he's gone right round the outside. Fantastic work. That is not an easy move to pull off for Wirontan. Ling Kang is going to concertina the pack up again, and that's going to give Liang Jiatong and Ethan Brown the chance to close in. So Ethan Brown has already made up 3 places, started P12, and has worked his way forward now into 9th position. So there's a lot of work for him still to do, but this is where he can remember now. Oh, Ethan Brown tags the back of Ling Kang. Ling Kang's pirouetted around. Ethan Brown saw a gap, went for it, and connects with Ling Kang. Wow, that's a big disaster for Ethan Brown. He can't focus on that now. He's just got to get on with it, because he now knows he's got to try and make the overtaking move on Liang Jiatong. But surely there's going to be an investigation into that contact from Ethan Brown. And the Singaporean will be bitterly disappointed that it's worked out that way. That's not the kind of driver Ethan Brown is usually. Let's have a look at it again here. Coasts in behind Ling Kang. He actually makes the dive on Liang Jiatong, but he just misses his braking point by a meter. Look, he dives in and suddenly realizes, oh no, I'm not going to stop in time. And he tags the back of Ling Kang while he's making the overtake on Liang Jiatong. That's a big mistake for Ethan Brown, and that could be a championship ending moment for him, as that could end up becoming a penalty. So surely that is a big difficulty for Ethan Brown to cope with later in the race. Meanwhile, back with the leaders, Jonathan Cecotto for BC Racing and Brendan Leitch for Leipert Motorsport. Still these two battle away wheel to wheel. Fascinating to see if Brendan Leitch can get on terms. There's a bit of pride here, that's the thing. Once you hand over to your AM driver, it's all on them as to what happens next. But a fascinating situation for the contenders as they continue to work forward. Brendan Leitch trying to undercut the move here from Jonathan Cecotto. Fascinating how the roles are reversed today compared to what they were yesterday. Jonathan Cecotto now finds himself in a very difficult position of being hunted rather than being the hunter. So Brendan Leitch in a big situation here, trying to work his way further forward on Jonathan Cecotto. So fascinating to see how the duels have continued. But of course the incident yesterday that brought out the safety car has definitely come back to hamper. Oh, that's Yuga Tanabe. Yuga Tanabe has spun off there. So that's a big problem for the Japanese driver. He should be able to get going again in the RaceCraft car, but he's certainly overshot there. It's a little bit early for the moments to occur. Of course, there is an investigation into the Turn 5 incident, but it's not the one you think it is. It's actually between Suthadok Buncharon and Deepa Vitramardan that has an incident there. Yellow flags waving, so clearly Yuga Tanabe has not moved from his position just yet. Yellow flags are still there then for the Japanese driver. As up the inside, that's going to be the opportunity. Look, they're trying to lap the back marker. Yuga Tanabe has got back going again, and Cecotto did a better job of getting around Tanabe than Brendan Leitch did. That's really cost Brendan Leitch a good 6 to 7 car lengths that he cost himself there. That's the difficulty with running through the traffic. If you find them at the wrong part of the circuit for you, then it's definitely going to hamper your progress. And of course, the traffic was a difficult problem yesterday. That's how we had the collision between Emilien Card and the back marker that he hit yesterday, which was the, I believe that was the car that was in so much trouble yesterday. It was Yao that he connected with yesterday. It's currently Zhang Yachi that's behind the wheel of that car, and they're running in 9th position, so certainly not a back marker at this point in the race. But when a pro driver connects with an AM driver, it's always a very difficult situation. There was nothing really that Emilien Card could do to get out of the draft of Yao. Now there's some spray coming off Ethan Brown's car. I wonder if that collision has done some damage to his machine. I wonder if the water bottle is leaking over the top of the roof there. There's a lot of spray coming off the bonnet of the car. So I wonder if that collision has done his car some damage. That's something that he's going to have to continue working on through the stint, and then they'll have to have a look at it in the pit stop if they can do anything about it. Now, the Turn 5 incident between Dipa Vitramarden and Sutadok Buncharan is going to be investigated after the race, we are told. And there was a whole host of penalties that was handed out after the end of race 1 yesterday. There was a penalty for the 89. That was Brendan Leitch and Jia Song. They actually lost 4 positions in their race 1 results. That dropped them from 11th position on the road to 15th in the final reckoning. And there was also a penalty handed out to the 83 car, a 3-position penalty for the Arrows Racing team of Wirontan and Martin Min. And so those two ended up getting 3 positions penalty dropped. And then there were 2 other time penalties, one for the 15, that was Tim Zimmerman and Chen Chenhua. They only lost 5 seconds, so it didn't cost them any positions. And then there was a 40-second penalty, 2 separate penalties, one for 10 seconds and one for 30 seconds, that was handed to the number 86 car from yesterday. That is Omar Abdullah and Dipa Vitramarden. And of course, the Batmobile Racing car is also under investigation in this race, although we are told that their investigation is going to happen after the race. So after almost tripping over Yuga Tanabe, Brendan Leitch and the Lepet Motorsport team are getting back on the horse here and getting back after Jonathan Cecotto. They do have the fastest lap of the race, don't forget. Although the last lap, they were pretty much even Steven, Jonathan Cecotto and Brendan Leitch. The difference between them in lap time, 1/100th of a second. You couldn't really quote that. And into the pits comes Ethan Brown. Now, that is before the pit stop window, so that looks towards my suspicions that the car might be damaged. So this is not going to count in the pit window. So that contact with Ling Kang really has come back to bite them, because Ling Kang obviously dropped to the back of the field and is now working his way back up. He's now into 15th place, by the way, but it's about to become 14th because Ethan Brown is in pit lane, and it's not looking good for the number 27 crew. Ethan Brown gets out of the car and they're done. That's a real shame. Ethan Brown had only one direction to go in, and that was forwards. He was trying to do that, but he made his move on Yang Jiatong, just missed his braking by 1 meter and cannoned into the back of Ling Kang. So easy to do when you've got 2 or 3 cars in close proximity. He'll take the hit for that one. The team are out, and that very much spells the end for me of Ethan Brown's championship attack. Losing points at this stage of the season. That's pretty much game over, isn't it? So for Jonathan Cecotto and Brendan Leitch, they are still stretching out in front of Charles Leong in the SJM Theodore car. It certainly helps them out having the number 27 out of the race. On board with the Bundang by RaceCraft car, this is Jung Woo Lee. Working his way through these long sweeping apexes, 2 into 3, then up the elevation and into the hairpin at turn 4. This is such an underrated race circuit. I wish it was used more often. To come out of 4, down towards 5, in through that square left-hander. There is Jung Woo Lee, trying to go after his next opponent, which will be Charles Leong. But of course, Leong is hoping to keep stretching out his stint in as best a position as possible before he hands over to the very talented Alex Denning. Already a race winner a couple of times so far this year, that pairing. But the number 7 of Jung Woo Lee certainly having a very solid race of it at the moment. Just keeping it nice and tidy. We ride back on board with Jung Woo Lee. Let's listen in. Very good work so far here from Jung Woo Lee, doing a great job on home soil. And the Korean, who managed to take a podium yesterday, definitely enjoying things in fantastic fashion. So great to see everybody putting on an excellent show. Right, we're getting nearer now to the pit stop window. It's not going to be long before these drivers start thinking about when to pit. In the pro category, they'll try and get it as close to half distance as physically possible. It's not easy to be exact, as Brendan Leitch has closed back up again on Jonathan Cecotto. He took 1/10 of a second out of him on that last lap. So he's hoping that they meet a back marker again fairly soon. They've already lapped Hugo Tanabe, so they can't hope to catch up with him again. Maybe they've got a chance to close up on the likes of Deepa Fitramadon or Sutadok Bincharon. The drivers currently on slow lap times at the moment are Superchai Widabowanpong, Sang-Ho Kim, Brian Huang and Shinji Takei. They're the ones who are lapping relatively slowly by comparison to the leaders at the moment, currently about 6 to 7 seconds per lap, having difficulties. There is Dan Wells in the middle of your picture, and behind him there, the crew from SJM Theodore, including the ex-Formula One driver David Kennedy, who is very much a part of this SJM Theodore operation. The Theodore Racing team, of course, that competed in Grand Prix racing in the late 70s through till the end of 1983. The team based out of Hong Kong with the tutelage and leadership of Teddy Yip. Such an incredible history in Asian motorsport. Theodore, definitely one of the most famous racing teams in Asian motorsport history. And it's great to see that the name is still alive and kicking here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Series. So, the leaders, Jonathan Chicotto for BC and Brendan Leitch for Leipert, complete lap 9. And despite the spin earlier on from Hugo Tanabe and the contact from Ethan Brown between him and Ling Kang, so far, there haven't been too many dramas. There is the young Vietnamese teenager, Alex Sawyer, who leads the F4 Southeast Asia Championship, don't forget. The only race he didn't win was the first of the 2 races at the Bang Sen Grand Prix in Thailand at the beginning of this month, when he clattered into the side of his teammate Seth Gilmore, the Australian, who I'm sure is watching this with eager interest, thinking, well, if Alex Sawyer can drive a Lamborghini pretty quickly, I bet I can as well. He was a guest of the DW Evans team at the opening weekend of the championship at Sydney Motorsport Park. So it wouldn't surprise me too much if Seth Gilmore got his outing in this car at some point. And certainly with Nazim Azman currently indisposed due to his leg injuries, it's a great opportunity for young Alex Sawyer to get his first taste of GT racing with his beloved Evans GT team. And he's holding his own very well here. He's keeping up with Wiron Tan and running in front of him. So this bodes well for Alex Sawyer, the top talent from Vietnam. Isn't it amazing you wait ages for a decent racing driver from Vietnam and then 2 or 3 come along at once? Because of course we've got Owen Tangavelu who is on the trajectory as well. And Alex Sawyer, or as he is also known, Sawyer Hoang Dat, doing a great job as he works his way through the motor racing ladder. Great little tasty battle developing here. This is Liang Jiotong in front of Zhang Yachi and Zhao Ziquan, I do believe. So these 3 having a tasty battle. I apologize, it's even further back than that. It's Li Dongsheng, Hadi Zalalo and Chen Chenhua. So these 3 cars very close together. And this is, of course, where we're going to see an interesting battle resume when we get Li Donghui get back behind the wheel of this particular car a little later on. Then it's going to be Haziq Zaralo who takes over in his bid to try and get after the win in the AM category. He's going to dive up the inside line and try and pull off the move here on Li Dongsheng. But it's going to compromise him on the exit, and that costs him dear, as through goes Kevin Chen. So Chen Chenhua, or Kevin Chen, has been able to get the overtaking move. That's a real headache for Hadi Zaralo, because that breaks up the momentum and breaks up the flow. And he'll want to do a little bit more from that. But unfortunately, he's now got to try and work his way back up the order from that one. Definitely not what he was hoping for. As up the inside line again. That's really spurred on Kevin Chen. Now he fancies his chances here to get on the inside of Li Dongsheng. Trying to get his move through. As round the far side, that is the hard-charging Sang-Ho Kim. Now trying to get on the inside line here of Harry Zaralo. He fancies a move of his own here. As we get towards the half hour to go mark. Oh, goodness me. Sang-Ho Kim really going for it on the inside of Harry Zaralo on one of the toughest corners on the circuit to overtake. Not many drivers would commit to a move on the inside of turn 5 like that. Bit of a mistake there from Li Dongsheng. Surely that's going to be enough for Kevin Chen round the far side. He's got to commit round the outside, though. There's not a lot of room. Oh, he twitches. And you cannot afford to get these particular cars out sideways because there's so much power in relation to the weight ratio. It is so difficult to control the car. So a big moment there as Kevin Chen has to back out of the move when he's already half committed to it on Li Dongsheng. So Li Dongsheng working hard here in front of Kevin Chen. Dives again at the inside line. This is where it all went wrong for Ethan Brown, and it nearly goes wrong for Kevin Chen. That's a hard corner, don't forget, because it's downhill and then it changes to an uphill crest. Halfway around the second part of the apex, you start to climb. So it's very difficult to read on that particular part. Hang on a minute, where's the number 5 gone? Now, what's happened to Harry Zarolo? Did he spin it? Because he's suddenly fallen away from the fray. Yeah, it looks to me as that, yes, he did spin it. Or at least he's broken down. So the HZO Fortis car is stationary. I wonder if he stalled it, coming to a bit of a crawl there on the exit. And so that is fairly disastrous for him. Wow, that is bitter disappointment then for the HZO Fortis team that took the win in the AM category yesterday. They are now stationary out on the circuit. Expect a potential safety car here, because that car is just off the racing line. They might be able to cover that with yellow flags, but there is going to be some potential here. Right, the number 33 has been given a 10-second time penalty to be added to the mandatory pit stop for causing a collision. That is Shinji Takei after his incident with the 51 of Brian Huang. We didn't see that one, unfortunately, but the pit window is now open. Pit window is open, so the competitors can now start thinking about their pit stops on lap 13 for the leaders. So with Jonathan Chicotto having moved over to a 2-second lead now over Brendan Leitch, this is where he can really start to push things forward. But look at Wiron Tan. He is determined to get ahead of the Vietnamese talent Alex Sawyer before the pit stop, isn't he? He really wants this. Hunting down the move. He wants to give his car over to Dr. Ma in 5th position, not in P6. And they're running out of opportunities to do that as the competitors are getting themselves ready. A little bit of activity down there in pit lane as Dr. Ma is getting himself suited up, ready for the race. This is going to be tricky as they work their way through the S's. Alex Sawyer, such an amount of pressure on his shoulders as the newest member of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia paddock. Still only a whippersnapper of a teenager, as into the pits comes Kevin Chen. He decides to go first ahead of Superchai with a Bornmonpong. So there is the number 15. Kevin Chen, who was stuck behind his competitor there. Just felt he couldn't hold behind Li Dongsheng any further, and there is Superchai with a Bornmonpong. Now, he will not get out of the car because he's on his own, Superchai with a Bornmonpong. But as a result, they are hampered with an additional handicap penalty. So if there's only one driver in the car, their pit stop will be slightly longer. Full course yellow on short notice here. So that's got to be for the stationary car of Harry Zarolo. So that could end up being a bit of a difficulty then for the contenders, as into the pits as well comes Dippo Fitramadan. And it is full course yellow here, full course yellow. Well, that's well timed with the safety car coming out. Anybody that wants to make their pit stop and win a race and gain some time had better do it now. You've got to feel for Wiron Tan, who was so close to getting his move there on Alex Sawyer, but it will not happen now on this occasion. So he's got to wait for his opportunity. So fascinating situation then for the contenders as we go to yellow flag procedure with the retirement of Harry Zarolo. Full course yellow, and that will give them a chance to go and recover Harry Zarolo's car as into the pit lane. That is the number 3, so that is Chao Ziquan. And he will hand the car over to Liu Kaixun as their challenge will continue. So the Climax Racing team out gets Chao Ziquan, in gets Liu Kaixun for the LK by Climax team. Great opportunity for them to go for the victory in this one if they can just get it all together. But the full course yellow definitely slows up the pace. Ironic that it comes at exactly the same time, pretty much, as it did in race 1 yesterday. So if that's the case, does that mean we get another last lap battle, please? That would be nice. In the pit lane, there is a lot of activity now. Everybody looking to this yellow flag as an opportunity to take advantage of the situation and move their way further forward. Who's that in pit lane? That's Li Dongsheng, I think. So Li Dongsheng has just come into the pits to park in front. Yes, indeed. So Li Dongsheng gets out, Li Donghui gets in. So keep it in the family, of course, this team, the number 76 Climax crew. Hoping for a lot of hard work to come from this one as the rescue team has found their way to the HZO Fortis car. That's what the full course yellow gives them the chance to do. Good work indeed from the Orange Army. And now look at that. The yellow flag period has brought a massive cars into the pits together. Brendan Leitch has pitted, Charles Leong has pitted, so too has Jung Lee. And it looks as though Alex Sawyer's first stint in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia has come to an end as well. We're Tan and Yang Chotong have all come into the pits. Interestingly, the only driver that hasn't pitted is Jonathan Cecotto up in the top 6. Everybody else has. So Alex Sawyer gets out. Good run from the teenager from Vietnam. Out of the car he gets, and he hands over to the Frenchman Emilien Card, who was frustrated yesterday after being taken out essentially by a back marker when he was trying to lap him. And that's what brought out the yellow flag yesterday. So with Alex Sawyer finishing his first 12 of his first 14 laps in racing in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and he did a very good job actually on his first stint, worked his way up into the top 5, did a very comfortable job by the wheel of a sports car, up against drivers at least 5 to 10, sometimes even double his age, 5 to 10 years his senior, possibly even double his age on occasions. As out onto the circuit we go again with our second drivers taking over. So that's Song Ji-jun taking over from Brendan Leitch. It is Alex Denning taking over for Charles Leong. Peter Lee now takes over for Jung Lee. And then we've got Emilien Card taking over for Alex Sawyer. Dr. Ma will take over for We're Tan. And then, of course, it is going to be no longer Chang Woo Lee. It'll now be Liang Chetong that will take that particular car, I do believe. So as everybody gets themselves back out onto the circuit then, and it is a proper shuffle of the deck. We're waiting to see when Jonathan Cecotto will take his place in the car. And of course, don't forget, that's a pro team as well. So Gavin Hang will want to have as much time behind the wheel as he possibly can. That is the 51 we're just watching out on the circuit. That's Johnston Huang, who's just got into the car, and he's in front of Tim Zimmerman, who's just taken over from Kevin Chen. So expect some good things from this race. It could be a very interesting battle between them when they come back out. And of course, the 33 having to take its 10-second penalty there during its pit stop. That's Shinji Takei, who will give the car back over to his colleague in the Batmobile racing car, Kumar Prapakaran. But unfortunately, it's going to put them back by 10 further seconds. Full course yellows still active on the course, and in comes Jonathan Cecotto. So the race leader is in, and he will hand the car over to Gavin Hang. So now we're going to get to see the second half of these incredible battles. Can Gavin Hang hang on to the pace, or will either Alex Denning or maybe even Lee Zikong or Emilien Card, what can they do to get back into the action? So there is the leading car from BC Racing that won yesterday. Jonathan Cecotto just giving Gavin Hang all of the tuition and expertise he needs. This is how the car's behaving. This is how it's going, buddy. You've got this. I know you can do it. Could the BC Racing team come up with the goods for a pair of victories here today? It's going to be an interesting one. They won yesterday, of course, with that fabulous final lap flourish from Jonathan Cecotto. He's handled himself well in the first stint. He had a lead of about 2 seconds before the full course yellow came out over Charles Leong, over Brendan Leitch, I should say. And now he hands over to his colleague. So we're just waiting at the line now to figure out what the order's going to be. And I should point out it's yellow flags rather than safety car at the moment, which means that everybody's on full course yellow duty. So everybody is on different positions on the course. It's basically the Lamborghini Super Trofeo equivalent of code 60. So everyone is limited to their speed limit, as we're on board now with Liu Kaixun. So Liu Kaixun, who's taken over from Cao Ziquan. They're currently showing as running in 11th position. Of course, there are going to be a couple of teams that will have one driver at the wheel. So the likes of Superchai Wadabormanpong, Sitadok Buncharon, and Yugo Tanabe all have one driver at the wheel rather than two, and so they take longer pit stops to compensate for that. It's their handicap, as it were. Bit of disappointment for Nicolas Bertolatti and Haziq Zadel O, who don't get a chance to race in this one at all. So now they know how Alex Sawyer felt yesterday. So the competitors get themselves back out onto the course, and it is Gavin Hang who leads the way in front of Jung Song, and then it is Alex Denning ahead of Ling Kang or Peter Lee, and Emilien Card is next up. Then it is Chang Wu Li in front of Dr. Ma. Yao Liangbo is in front of Liu Kai-shun. Then it is Liu Ziwei ahead of Kumar Prabhakaran, and then it is Li Donghui in front of Gerald Goh, Johnson Huang and Tim Zimmerman. And then it is Superchai Wadabormanpong, Umar Abdullah, Sitadok Buncharon, and Yugo Tanabe. 19 runners left of the 21 that started. Safety car is now called. Now this will often happen after a full course yellow. So the full course yellow basically ascertains the situation. They recover the car and then get it back to a safe position, and then to bunch the field up again and send them off on their way for the second part of racing to neutralize the race. They will then give us the safety car. Now that is the 11 having rejoined behind the 33. So that is Kumar Prabhakaran in the Batmobile racing car. Following in behind is the number 11 of Gavin Hang for BC Racing. But the safety car will, of course, neutralize the field and give us the race order that we are expecting to have, because there was 9 seconds between Gavin Hang and Jung Song on that particular lap. But there is the safety car. Oh, it's just missed the leader. Well, if Gavin Hang can back off the throttle and just let the Lamborghini Urus safety car go back through, that's bitterly frustrating, because the safety car has just missed the leader. So unless they get the radio message, they basically all just got to go round again, and they'll catch up to the safety car another time. That could give us another lap, essentially, behind the safety car that we didn't need. The pit window is now closed, but that's perfectly fine, because everybody has made their mandatory pit stop now and taken their mandatory penalties that go with it, so that is not a big cause for concern. So everybody that is still running in the race, I should say, because there are 2 cars that haven't taken their mandatory pit stop, and that's because they were out on lap 7. It was the number 27 that retired from the race, Ethan Brown for Lepert Motorsport, meaning his teammate Nicolas Bertolatti did not get behind the wheel. And the same for Haziq Zadel O, who stalled the car by the look of it. We didn't really see, in effect, what happened to the HZO Fortis car. I wonder if it just clunked out on this particular hairpin. When in the concertina effect, when you've got 3 or 4 cars a bit slow through that particular part of the course, it was just enough for the number 5 HZO Fortis by Absolute car to splutter to a halt, as Haziq Zadel O essentially ended up retiring, and that means that Haziq Zadel O will not get his turn behind the wheel. Now it looks to me as though Gavin Hang has backed up and let the Lamborghini Urus get back in front of it. One of the few cars that you'll see on a motor racing circuit on a regular appearance that I have actually driven, the Lamborghini Urus. I can't say I've driven a Lamborghini Huracan, but I have driven a Urus. Fabulous machine, as it now waves the field through. There you go. So that's who they were waiting for. They were waiting for the number 11 of Gavin Hang. So now Gavin Hang has completed lap 17. Everybody else has now got to go and catch up to the back of the pack so that they can be ready for this restart. But Gavin Hang in front of Jung Song and Alex Denning. And with the safety car now bunching up the pack, this is going to be a really, really good battle. And it's now 4 cars in contention for the victory for me here. Gavin Hang in the number 11 BC Racing car, the 32 of the SJM Theodore crew. The number 7's got to be in the hunt for the victory here, with Ling Kang now behind the wheel. And of course, Emilien Card for DW Evans GT. They'll be wanting to make up for the time lost yesterday. So expect some really good battles today, as we've got a few minutes left of racing, of course, but more importantly, we've got the safety car bunching up the field to give us the mother of all restarts. And this will be a good restart. So all cars have been instructed to pass the safety car until car number 11. That is Gavin Hang, the race leader. And that has now happened, I do believe. So the safety car is now bunching up the field. Oh, no, it hasn't quite happened yet. So they're still waving cars through until the number 11 of Gavin Hang catches them up. That's the problem. You've got to get the safety car's got to go onto the circuit, and then it has to do so with clear instructions. So all cars pass the safety car until the number 11, Gavin Hang. So this is going to put us behind the safety car one more lap, I think, as Gavin Hang has now completed lap 18. So I've got the feeling that it's going to be on lap 21 that we will get this race restarted again, because we're on lap 19 now for the race leader, Gavin Hang. So by the time they catch up to the pack and the pack has constituted itself out, it's going to be at the end of lap 20 that we should go racing again here. So the Lamborghini Urus safety car still running a very solid performance out on the course in front of the Huracans, just running through its protocol and procedure. And so we are going to try and push our way further forward for a close finish at the end here. Rather unfortunate, the stall of Harry Zarolo's car, because it essentially gives us what is essentially a 9-lap full course yellow and then safety car period. So all of the contenders just now getting themselves back up to position. But we are in readiness for what is going to be a fairly close battle to the end now. And this is going to be a really interesting retake now, because once we all conflagrate back together, this is going to be a nail-biting conclusion. And we've already had one of those this weekend, so we're going to get to have another one straight away, basically. Very exciting to see how this is going to play out here. So we've got Gavin Hang and Jonathan Cecotto for BC Racing. They're going to be the leaders on the restart. The 89 will be second. That is the car of Brendan Leitch and Jung Song. The latter, of course, is now behind the wheel. And they are seeking a victory in the Pro-Am category. That would be a wonderful way to pay tribute to the late, great Tim Miles, who sadly we lost a couple of weeks ago. And that would be an amazing way for Brendan Leitch to pay tribute. That would be an emotional victory if they can just hang on to the lead in the Pro-Am category. That is going to be difficult. There's no two ways about that. And we have to not underrate the challenge that awaits them, because they've got the number 63 bearing down on them on the restart. That's going to be Changwoo Lee, who's taken over the SQDA Grit Motorsport car. They were third in Pro-Am yesterday. And then the 83 car is going to be in the mix of that as well. That's going to be Dr. Ma, although I have a feeling they're not going to be quite as strong in the second phase as they were yesterday. So it's going to be all eyes on the number 3 car of Liu Gaishun. He's going to be the one to watch for. He comes through from 9th position on this eventual restart. So he's got a lot of work to make up to get close to Jung Song. But I know how much Brendan Leitch will want this one. This is going to be an emotional victory if he can hang on to it. They're second at the moment, but they cannot afford to lose too much time here. A podium is possible, a win is on the cards, but only if it all goes according to plan. Now, there is some lap traffic in front of us here. So there is going to be some back markers for Alex Denning to navigate his way past on this restart, because lap traffic does not unlap itself in Super Trofeo Asia. It's just a process that takes far too long. Safety car in this lap, so I was right. We are going to go racing on lap 21. We're on lap 20 now. And so the lights go out on the safety car, and it is time for a charge. We're going to see a really big race battle on this restart as Gavin Hang tries to disappear away from the likes of Jung Song and Alex Denning. It could be roles reversed going into the race today. Jonathan Cecotto snatched the win away from Charles Leong in the dying seconds of race 1 yesterday. Is Alex Denning going to put himself in position to return the favour on Gavin Hang on this restart? It is going to be nail-biting to the wire here. And as the Lamborghini Urus checks out to pull away and get itself back into the pit lane, it is all down to Gavin Hang, who now backs up the pack. So this restart is going to be very strong indeed, and it's going to need to be for Gavin Hang. He cannot afford to lose too much time on this stint. He's been helped here by the duration of the safety car, but it's not done yet. He's still got quite a lot of racing to go. He's dropped the hammer, he's gone for it, and he's going to climb the crest as they come off the turn, and we go racing, hopefully for the last time again here at Inje. It's green, 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 green in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Race 2 at Inje in South Korea. And Gavin Hang has got a decent start here. He's already 2.5 clear of Jung and Song. Helped a little bit by the traffic, but certainly not hampered by the cars around him. And it's already Alex Denning on the attack, and he's already got ahead of Jung and Song, who runs wide. So immediately Alex Denning in his second position. That did not take long at all. And so Alex Denning is on the charge. SJM Theodore moves into second position then. Looked like Peter Lee got through as well, and I think Emilien Card is now lining up the attack. I'm not sure if he's actually made the move or not. No, he has done. So it's already on the charge then. BC Racing leads SJM Theodore, leads RaceCraft, leads DW Evans GT, and as they work their way through, this traffic is not going to be very helpful. It's Johnson Huang who is currently battling away with Tim Zimmerman, two drivers who are not going to be easy to lap because they are very quick. So this is the pace they find themselves in. The back markers don't get out of the way very easily, especially not when they're battling with each other. And don't forget that in GT racing, the onus is on the car behind to do the overtaking. Zimmerman's focusing big style on getting ahead of the 51 of Johnson Huang, who drifts wide off the turn, and the BC Racing car can actually assist its sister car here by holding up the pack. But Tim Zimmerman's going to have his run on the inside line. That'll do. Lovely move from Tim Zimmerman. So the 15 from Z Speed gets in front. And surely now it's not going to be long before Alex Denning makes his own bid to get ahead. So with Denning through into second position in the race, he's now going to dive through on the inside of the BC. Get out of the way, man! I'm trying to catch your teammate. Really? I had no idea. Gamesmanship potentially here going on at BC Racing as they are having a sensational duel. Peter Lee still running there in third position, but this is holding up. BC Racing are holding up the field here. It's tightening up the race, and it's giving Gavin Hang a great opportunity to go for the victory. Surely now Alex Denning is going to get through on the inside line as his teammate Charles Leong, watches on for the sidelines. Denning gets ahead of the BC Racing car, and the longer it takes for Peter Lee and Emilien Card to follow in pursuit, the easier it's going to be for Alex Denning to go for the victory as the BC Racing car runs wide. Job done for Peter Lee and Emilien Card. They will get ahead now of Johnson Huang, and they do indeed. So the top four cars are now all together, but there's 2.6 seconds for Alex Denning to make up on Gavin Hang, and we've only got 8.5 minutes to go in this race. So it's going to be tight all the way to the checkered flag here. So is there going to be one final roll of the dice on board with Ling Kang? Bundang by RaceCraft car. So difficult to get back into the rhythm after a safety car because you've got to try and keep these tyres warm when you're weaving from side to side to try and generate that heat, as Tim Zimmerman has now caught up to Gavin Hang. Now this is because, of course, Tim Zimmerman is in the Pro-Am category. And Tim Zimmerman is a ridiculously fast driver here, so he will try and challenge, and he has no problem at all unlapping himself from Gavin Hang into turn one. So he gets ahead of Gavin Hang on the road, perfectly allowed to do that. If you're lapping quicker, which he is, then there's nothing wrong with doing so. Gavin Hang's just on a 141.5 compared to Zimmerman on a 139.5. And there is Alex Denning. Alex Denning is closing right up on Gavin Hang. He's taken a second out of him on that lap alone. Now, there is an investigation for a car speeding in the pit lane. In fact, there's an investigation for two cars speeding in the pit lane, and one of them is the SJM Theodore. Alex Denning, car 32. Well, fortunately, they're only going to be given a 9/10 of a second time penalty. So the SJM Theodore crew get a 9/10 of a second time penalty. Basically, it's a 1 second penalty for the pit stop time being a little too short. And it's the same penalty, incidentally, that goes the way of Changwoo Lee and Jung of SQDA Grit. So they've also got a 1 second penalty. That shouldn't affect them too much, but it's just something to be buzzing around in the back of Alex Denning's head. You've got a 1 second penalty. So not only have you got to get ahead of Gavin Hang, in the next 6.5 minutes. You've got to pull at least a second clear, which is something that Jonathan Cecotto incidentally didn't do yesterday. He did get ahead on the last lap, but he only pulled 0.8 of a second clear. So Alex Denning's got to go above and beyond the call of duty here to get himself back into the victory position. He's got to get ahead and then get a second ahead. 6 minutes to go. Alex Denning charging into turn one. You really can drop through that first apex. Very similar in diameter and in radius to the first corner at Portimao. Then it takes on its own very unique shape here as they go up towards turn four, which is a bit of a climb. And Denning is all over the back of Gavin Hang. Now he's going to try and make his move. Look, Hwang is already trying to defend. He's slow in. Can Denning be fast out? He's going to try and make his bid on the inside line. It was an amazing duel yesterday between Jonathan Cecotto and Charles Leong. Now their teammates are going at it hammer and tongs. Gavin Hwang versus Alex Denning, and Peter Lee has got a perfect view of it. So Ling Kang in third position for RaceCraft can watch this battle unfold and try and get close to them. The more that Gavin Hwang holds up Denning, the closer Peter Lee's going to get to them. And Alex Denning is on pure pace, going a second lap quicker than Gavin Hwang. He's got to get ahead of him because he's got Peter Lee from RaceCraft right up his trumpet. He needs to push here. Down to the hairpin. This is where we had the incident between Ethan Brown and Ling Kang earlier on. Brake, drop down, get back on the power, then get back up the crest again. Gavin Hwang is doing everything he knows how to keep the BC Racing crew in front. But Alex Denning is threatening. He goes for a look to the inside line. BC's Gavin Hwang defends, but as he defended too much as they come over the crest of the rise, Alex Denning's got a good run off the turn, and he'll have good speed down the main straight. This could be it for Alex Denning. Dives up to the first corner. Headlights on, he backs out of it. But through to turn one, he might have a run round the far side. Through two, up through three. Gavin Hwang drifting a little bit. Up towards four. Denning sticks to the normal racing line. Gavin Hwang's gone round the outside. Alex Denning trying to go long way round. Peter Lee's getting racy behind them. Go on, boys. You get wheel to wheel. I'll get you both. 3 cars in the mix here. It's even better than yesterday. BC Racing, SJM Theodore and Bundang by RaceCraft. So close together, these 3 crews. Hwang, Denning, Lee. Over the curb, back on the power, up the crest, and this is not going to be easy to settle. Gavin Hwang is doing everything he knows how to do to be defensive. Denning's caught him, but he can't get ahead, and Peter Lee is tightening up. And look out, boys, here comes Emilien Card in the DW Evans GT car. He's going to close in on them as well now. See, Hwang is holding the whole field to ransom here in the high 140s. So this is going to be anybody who can go quicker can catch up to them. 3 minutes to go. Has Gavin Hwang got what it takes to hold on to this? Peter Lee might get the move here on Alex Denning before there's even a chance to get the overtake. And there's a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane handed to Liu Kai-shun. Well, that is devastating news for Liu Kai-shun. And that is going to cost them the Pro-Am victory. That is devastating news. It's going to cost them the Pro-Am victory. That means that Jung Song, who had just lost the lead of Pro-Am, is going to take it back again now, I do believe. No, my apologies, because the 63 has taken the lead in Pro-Am. That is Chang Woo Lee. But Liu Kai-shun is going to have to take a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that cost them any chance of a podium. Here comes Alex Denning, trying to get alongside. They're almost door to door as Gavin Hwang shuts his door in his face, diving up the inside. Contact, I think, between Peter Lee and Alex Denning. Denning holds on to it. No, you don't. It took me this long to get on the tail of Gavin Hwang. There's no way I'm going to relent now. Back through the S's they go. On tenterhooks, these 4 crews are sweating cobs in the garage as Emilien Card has closed right up on Peter Lee. Hwang, Denning, Lee, Card, 4 crews, 2 minutes on the clock. Somebody's got to take this. Denning on the inside, desperate to get ahead of Gavin Hwang, nearly losing the place to Peter Lee on the inside of the next left-hander. Now back in on the right left-hander. On board with Ling Kang. Maybe I can snatch a win here. Maybe I can get ahead of Alex Denning before he goes for Gavin Hang. And don't forget that Denning's got to get ahead and pull a second clear of Gavin Hang if he wants to win this race. Down to the hairpin, looking for a faster run off the exit of the right-hander. Back up the crest, back on the power. Up towards the final two corners, and again Denning is trying to keep Gavin Hang guessing. Hang is going to have to the inside line. Denning, slow in, fast out. That could be the move. Alex Denning storms into the lead. Beautiful overtake from the SJM Theodore. He set him up beautifully. Wonderful move from Alex Denning, and there's a minute to go. He's got a clear track in front of him. If he can pull a second clear, they've got it done. Fantastic. Alex Denning absolutely rolling the dice with his move there on Gavin Hang, as now Emilien Card is going to dive in on Peter Lee. They've got the overtaking feeling in that squad. SJM Theodore and DW Evans GT are essentially sister crews here, as Emilien Card tries again on Peter Lee. He can't quite get the move for third position, but he can try again. Right, for Alex Denning, who's done all that work to churn the tyres up, getting ahead of Gavin Hang. Now he's got to do the hard work on worn tyres to pull a second clear of Gavin Hang. It's not as easy as he thinks it is. He's got that 9/10 of a second penalty. The leader is on the last lap. Mistake for Gavin Hang. That could be what they need at SJM Theodore. Peter Lee's trying to come through. They've still got the hairpin. And this is where Peter Lee can snatch second position away from Gavin Hang. The win is gone for BC Racing, unless they can hang on a second and hold on by that 9/10 of a second deficit. But I think it might be too much. We're going to have to wait. Gavin Hang really struggling to hold on from Peter Lee. Alex Denning has got in front, but are they ahead by a second? I think so, but only just. They've got a slow car in front of them. This is going to compromise them. Don't forget they've got a 9/10 of a second penalty. It's going to be tight to see who gets it. Alex Denning is going to cross the line first, but will he take the win? We look to the timing screens. Yes! Yes! He's just done it! 1.3 seconds for Alex Denning. Unbelievable scenes here. Incredible. Alex Denning, in very similar fashion to the way that Jonathan Giacomo pulled off the win on Charles Leong yesterday, they get their revenge 24 hours later. What an amazing result for the SJM Theodore and DW Evans crews. Wonderful stuff. It's a victory for Charles Leong and Alex Denning. The magician cast his spell on this field today. Alex Denning, what a move. With the penalty applied, he wins by just 4/10 of a second. Boy, that was close. Oh, Alex Denning will enjoy the moment. Fantastic stuff. Excellent, excellent performance. And so, that is the way it was written. Fabulous race, fabulous drive. Now, here is an interesting development. There was a drive-through penalty I told you about that was awarded to Ling Kang. They didn't take it. So they crossed the line in 6th position behind Chang Woo Lee, which is the number 63 car. That is the SQDA Grit car that's going to take the win in Pro-Am. But as far as I'm aware, the number 3 crew, Ling Kang, did not take his drive-through penalty for the Climax Racing team. So that is going to promote the 89, by my money, for Lepert Motorsport into 2nd position. So it's going to be a very emotional podium for Brendan Leitch, honouring his late departed colleague Tim Miles. He will take silverware today. That's appropriate. That's very fitting indeed. But what a thriller. That, for me, was one of the races of the season in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. In the Asian category, we have had such an amazing race there. 4 cars could have won that, and they were separated at the flag officially by 1.2 seconds. Try and replicate that again this season. What a victory. Alex Denning takes the win that was robbed from them yesterday by BC Racing. They claim it back today. That is the ultimate vengeance. 24 hours later, they did the dirt on BC Racing the very same manner in which they did it to them 24 hours ago. Wonderful. Absolutely terrific battle here at Inje. And I have to say, more races in South Korea, please. This circuit really is a proper cathedral of chaos. What a great race. But it was a pure race. That's what I liked about it. Yes, we had the little love tap between Ethan Brown and Ling Kang. Yes, we had the safety car for the breakdown of Hari Zardalo. But that race had everything. It is a victory for SQDA Grit in the Pro-Am category. They got a third yesterday, but Changwoo Lee on home soil takes a win in Pro-Am. That is a big, big moment for the Korean fans here as Changwoo Lee becomes a race winner at home. Excellent display and a great performance. And looking down the order in the AM category, I think it is going to be Lee Dong-sheng and Lee Dong-hui that take the victory in the AM class. Excellent work. What a terrific race battle it's been. And a truly sensational duel for the contenders here. Great racing all the way. And we certainly got treated there to a magnificent race all the way to the checkered flag, didn't we? Wonderful stuff. So some standout mentions then from the race. Great effort from Peter Lee to get himself right onto the tail of the race-winning battle. Had the safety car been just a little bit shorter, I think he might have had the chance to go for second place there. There is the final result, or at least the provisional final result, I should say. And it is a victory for SJM Theodore ahead of BC Racing and Bundang by RaceCraft, with DW Evans GT in fourth. 1.2 seconds between them. A great podium for SQDA Grit, LK by Climax and Lepet Motorsport in Pro-Am. In the AM category, it is the 67 Climax that bounces back from its retirement yesterday to take the win this time, ahead of the sister car, who takes another second place, the number 76. And then in the Lamborghini Cup race, it is going to be the 17 that takes the victory on this particular occasion. Excellent work from Gerald Go. And his teammate, of course, Sang-ho Kim. So there will be two Korean winners on the podium today. That's lovely. So a very impressive run there from Peter Lee and Jungwoo Lee. It's a Korean podium today, as it was yesterday as well. Double podium then for Jungwoo Lee. And he can be very proud of that. He worked very hard indeed to get to that position. He can be very pleasantly surprised and happy. So a great result, and it's going to be a very satisfying podium with a lot of happy faces here. I think there's going to be some investigations, because obviously 4 minutes before the end of the race, a drive-through penalty was issued to the number 3 of Liu Kai-shun. So I think you're going to have to wait for the official confirmation as to whether they do actually finish in second position or not. They could argue, well, we were handed that drive-through penalty a little bit late, but they did speed in the pit lane. So they were under investigation for it and then were handed a drive-through penalty, which they did not serve. So that's going to be an interesting conclusion to the race for them. So now the race has been rectified. The results have been corrected on my screen. And so the drive-through penalty has been applied, and that has dropped the number 3 to 10th position. So Liu Kai-shun's car is now down in 10th position behind the Climax Racing number 76. So that puts them off the podium, I'm afraid to say. And it promotes Ling Kang and Liu Ziwei into third position. So that's going to be the podium for the Pro-Am category. That's how it's going to round up. But with the drive-through penalty applied, it will drop Liu Kai-shun down to 10th position on the final result. So Xiao Zikan and Liu Kai-shun will be 10th. So a little bit of an opportunity for photographs and to gather everybody together, but there are going to be some podiums, of course, in the 4 classes. So based on what I've now got in front of me, it'll be top step of the podium for the SJM Theodore crew of Charles Leong and Alex Denning. Second will be BC Racing's Jonathan Chicotto and Gavin Hang. And then third will be the Lamborghini Bundang by RaceCraft car number 7 of Peter Lee and Jung Lee, taking their second podium in as many races. So very good stuff indeed. Very close racing all the way through. Great to see such amazing battles concluded there. So the winning driver in the Pro-Am category is, the winning pair in the Pro-Am category, sorry, is going to be the number 63 crew of Li and Liang. That is the SQDA Grit Motorsport car. And then in second position will be the Lepert Motorsport number 89 of Judge Song and Brendan Leitch. That is a beautiful result for that team after a very difficult couple of weeks for Brendan Leitch and for everybody in the Pacific region of motorsport. Tim Miles was a very beloved and very cherished colleague in the motorsport community, so that will be very heartbreaking indeed to have lost such a fantastic character. And so this is a fitting tribute for Lepert Motorsport number 89 to be on the podium in the second race of the weekend. And then third position in the Pro-Am category will be the LK by Climax car number 66, Ling Kang and Lu Ziwei. Then going on to the Am category, it'll be the Climax Racing number 67 of Yao and Zhang. That's a very nice result, considering they were out of the race with their car on fire yesterday after an incident with Emilien Card in the DW Evans GT car. So they bounced back in style to take the victory in the Am category ahead of the Climax number 76 that came second yesterday, where Li Donghui and Li Dongsheng also come second today. And then in third position will be the Delta Garage by Absolute car of Umar and Depot. So they will get third position in the category unless they have a penalty to take. I don't think they do in the 86. No, it looks as though their position has remained the same. So that is how their race will finish. And in the Lamborghini Cup race, it's going to be Gerald Goh and Sang-Ho Kim for the Lamborghini Bundang by RaceCraft car number 17. They will take the Lamborghini Cup victory. So it's a double win for the Koreans here, after Chang-Woo Lee got the win in Pro-Am with Liang Jietong. It's also Gerald Goh and Sang-Ho Kim that get the victory in Lamborghini Cup. Lots of silverware for the Korean talents on the grid, which is great news. Kumar Prabhakaran and Shinji Takei, despite their penalty earlier on, will come through for second position for the Batmobile Racing crew. And then third position in the category will be Superchai Wedaboromampong, who will come third in the Siam Gas Corsa car. So we're now just waiting for the podium ceremony as the competitors have climbed out of their cars, and they will head upstairs to go and collect the silverware. And it is going to be a really exciting continuation of their journey as they move forward to the next battle. We've had some great racing here in the category, and now it's going to be more exciting battles here at the Inje International Motor Festival. But for Lamborghini Super Trofeo, it's been really, really exciting all the way through. So we're going to conclude our pictures here with the podium ceremonies, and there are 4 of them, of course, in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. All 4 podium ceremonies get featured and covered in this paddock. So hopefully all 4 trios of drivers are going to be ready to take their position on the rostrum. A pair of fantastic races here at the Inje Speedium. One of my favourite circuits in Asia now. My first time to ever commentate on this particular race circuit for any form of racing. And I'm so glad it was Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. What a great championship to come here and really show off what this circuit is good at. I'm hoping that in the future we'll get more fantastic championships racing here. Maybe even Super GT and Super Formula can come and race on this circuit in the future. Certainly Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia pointing out that this place is great for a race, because we gave 2 fantastic battles over the course of the weekend. Yesterday, that last lap duel between Jonathan Chicotto and Charles Leong, and then the 4-way scrap for the victory today between Alex Denning, Gavin Hang Jikong and Emilien Card Jikong, I should point out. Peter Lee, as he's also known. But what a sensational battle they gave us. Wonderful stuff in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. And there's plenty more great racing where that came from, as they will continue on in their calendar later on in the season. Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia returns in September on the Sepang International Circuit in Selangor, just outside the capital city of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. One of my favorite circuits in the world. And it's a very fitting place to conclude the Asian section of the season, because of course at the end of the year they will conflagrate in Italy for the Lamborghini World Finals. But a fabulous end to racing here that was almost plagued by rain. We had a little bit of a rain shower yesterday morning here at Inje Speedium, but it certainly didn't affect things in the race itself, either today or yesterday. So I'm rather delighted that we were able to get through without the drama. But what a sensational battle it was over the course of the race. We had such an amazing conclusion, didn't we? So now a close proximity race battle for all of the Huracan Super Trofeo Evo 2s, although of course their days are numbered. We heard in the news recently that it's going to be replaced soon by the Lamborghini Temerario GT3. I was very excited to see the soft launch of the car in the Asia Pacific region at the opening round of the championship at Sydney Motorsport Park, and got a look at it myself up close, and I have to say it is definitely one of the prettiest Lamborghinis that I've ever seen. It reminds me of the beautiful vintage Diablo in its craft and its design. It's a proper looker of a Lamborghini, and I've always felt that as a car there's a real passion, there's a real emotion, there's a real thirst for speed and power with this particular brand. And it's wonderful to see that it's continuing into the future with the Temerario GT3 developed in-house at Lamborghini itself, which is a really exciting statement from Lamborghini in terms of their future in sports car racing. Of course, with the hypercar program and still question marks surrounding that, it's great to see that with the Temerario there is a big, big future ahead for that particular car. And I can't wait to see it hit the circuit for the first time in GT3 trim. For now, though, let's focus on the present and a very exciting trio of pairs that will head to the podium after a very exciting second race. We had a good podium yesterday. Boy, have we got a good one today. And unfortunately, there isn't space on the podium for 4 teams. There really should be, because we had an amazing duel right to the last lap with the top 4 cars separated in the final reckoning by 1.2 seconds. In the reality, it was separated by 2.1 because of the 9/10 of a second penalty handed to Alex Denning for the speeding through the pit lane penalty they were given. But once that was served, Alex Denning and Charles Leong still able to clinch the victory by just a mere 0.4 of a second. So here we go then, the pro podium. First of all, here at Super Trofeo, and that's what it means to Alex Denning. That was a victory that he had to valiantly fight for. That's a win he could be so proud of, the Irishman, alongside his Macanese colleague, Charles Leong. What a sensational run that was. Second place for Gavin Hang and Jonathan Chicotto. Revenge for yesterday. And in third position for the second race in a row and the second race here in Korea, it is Lee Jikong and Changwoo Lee, the Korean on the podium at home. Very fitting indeed. So the trophies presented to our winning crew, and justifiably very happy men on the podium indeed today. What a weekend. BC Racing snatching their first win of the season yesterday on the very last lap. Alex Denning snatching the win back again 24 hours later in an amazing second encounter. Gotta love this championship. Nail-biting to the last every single time. Great result as well for Changwoo Lee. who's going to come onto the podium shortly to claim the victory in the Pro-Am category. The Korean drivers here have definitely coloured themselves with glory and will take home a lot of silverware. But it's SJM Theodore that take the victory, not for the first time in 2025, and potentially, with 2 races to go at Sepang in September, not the last either. Excellent result for the team. They can be so happy with what they've accomplished here. And there's so many reasons to be positive and happy. Everyone's got plenty to smile about here on the rostrum. Excellent stuff and glorious scenes of joy as the team is preparing for more celebrations and more excitement as they continue their fantastic trajectory with a few weeks off to gather their thoughts ahead of the next round of the championship at Sepang in Malaysia in the first week of September. But for now, our pro drivers get busy with the fizzy. And Alex Denning goes into full Lando Norris mode. Fabulous work for the drivers who do celebrate with a little bit more gusto than they did yesterday, knowing, of course, that they don't have to worry about keeping their overalls clean for tomorrow. They can just party and enjoy themselves. Too right. Excellent result and a great display. Charles Leong and Alex Denning triumph after their adversity yesterday, and they bounce back from defeat to victory. And look at Alex Denning. He is absolutely overjoyed. That was a win he really had to dig deep to deliver. With a penalty from the speeding in the pit lane, he still found his way through, still pushed like crazy on the last lap, and still secured the win by just 0.4 of a second. Magic. Absolute magic. So now to the podium ceremony for the Pro-Am category. 3 more teams to come forward, and this one is going to have a little bit more emotion to it, because this one is even more impressive, and certainly for the home fans, it gives them a lot to cheer about. Top step of the podium will be the SQDA Grit Motorsport team, who got a podium yesterday, but this will be even sweeter. It's a victory for SQDA Grit Motorsport and their man, Brian Lee. Excellent stuff. Yang Jiatong, working alongside him, the Chinese driver, will share the podium with him as SQDA Grit get the victory they richly deserve in race 2. Second position promoted onto the podium. Judge and Song and Brendan Leach for Lepert Motorsport, and it's going to be emotional for Brendan Leach. I'm sure that Tim will be so proud, Brendan. He'll be grinning from ear to ear, watching from that great motor race in the sky. And third position, good effort from Ling Kang and Liu Ziwei. Third position for the LK by Climax team. More silverware for them. This is, of course, following the drive-through penalty that was handed to Liu Kang. He didn't serve it on the racetrack, so they docked him 4 places, and he dropped to 10th position. But so richly deserved for Brendan Leach and his teammate, Judge and Song, in second position. That's really deserved silverware. There's a lot of smiles on this podium for a lot of good reasons. A Korean winner, a podium for Brendan Leach after his fallen colleague Tim Miles and the emotion that came with that, and the bounce back for Ling Kang after his moment early in the race to claim a podium in company with his teammate Liu Ziwei. It's a very emotional Pro-Am podium, and very deservedly so. Great to see so many joyous people enjoying the moment, and a great victory for the SQDA Grit team. They got a podium yesterday, they deserve the win today. Always wonderful when the weekend ends on a high note. So it's great to see such fantastic sportsmanship throughout. So the victory then for the number 63, the SQDA Grit team. And they will celebrate in true style because it's a Korean victory in South Korea. They take the pictures to the side as well as in front. And now there's going to be a lot of spray here because the joy will not be corkable. Wonderful scenes from the 6 men who have driven their heart out here today at Inje. This one's for you, Tim. Wonderful scenes for Brendan Leach, who's an emotional character, but for all the right reasons. And a podium very fitting indeed here at Inje. A shame it wasn't a win, but the silverware is more than acceptable. So now they focus in on the 3rd podium, which is for the AM category. And it's going to be a fabulous result, really, for the Climax team, because they get a 1-2 today. And after the difficulties of yesterday, it's a great way to bounce back in style for the Climax Racing team. They were denied a victory yesterday after a collision through the traffic with Yao having a moment, unfortunately, with Emilien Card, which put both cars out of the race. But the Climax Racing team come through for 1 and 2 in the AM category this time. And it's wonderful to see the number 67 crew come through for the victory in auspicious circumstances after the difficulty of the race concluding yesterday. So it is the number 67 crew of Yao Liangbo and Jiang Yachi that takes the victory in fine style here. A very justification for 2nd place for Li Donghui and Li Dongsheng. No problems at all for them in the AM category. And then 3rd position for the brilliant pairing, making their way to the podium despite the difficulties that lay out before them in this race. It was never going to be easy for the 3rd crew. But 3rd position is the 86 of Dipo Fitramadan and Omar Abdullah for Delta Garage by Absolute. And the journey continues for them with more silverware after a very difficult day at the office. But a good result nonetheless for Umar Abdullah and Dipo Fitramadan. They claim 3rd position behind the Climax 1-2. Lovely scenes here again in the AM category podium. And Climax almost dominating in the AM category. They had to work for it though. They certainly had to put in the hard effort. But there's going to be some very decent scenes down in the Climax garage tonight. Expect a lot of decent pictures on social media as well. This team has well and truly deserved this, and all the plaudits that go with it. But now it's time for the photographs and the inevitable celebrations. And I think all of these crews have deserved a long, hard rest before we get to the season finale at Sepang in Malaysia on the 1st weekend of September. We hope you'll all be there to join us, because the racing really has been fantastic leading up to this point. And of course, all roads from there lead to the World Finals in Italy, where many of these drivers will be hoping to race again. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the AM drivers to celebrate in style and get busy with the fizzy once more here at Inje Speedium in South Korea. Climax 1 and 2. A fantastic result in the AM podium. And there is just one more podium to come, and it's definitely going to be one of the most emotional in the Lamborghini Cup, as we're going to see Gerald Goh take to the podium with his South Korean teammate Sang-Ho Kim for RaceCraft. So there will be 2 Korean winners at home. Very fitting indeed. So the final work then continuing on to prepare the podium. Great work from the Top Speed Promotions crew, working closely with Lamborghini Asia to put on these fantastic events. We've been to so many fantastic locations so far this year, to Australia, to China, to Japan, and now here to South Korea. Really excited to see the championship conclude in Malaysia. One of the most fantastic championships in the planet, this, particularly for those who want their air miles and for those who want to race on some spectacular, underrated race circuits around the world. But it is going to be an emotional victory on the top step of the podium of the Lamborghini Cup. Number 17, Gerald Goh and Sang-Ho Kim. A victory on home soil for the man on your left, Sang-Ho Kim. Excellent work. The number 17 crew for RaceCraft taking the victory. Second place, the Batmobile boys, Shinji Takei and Kumar Prabhakaran. And the Lone Ranger, third position for Siam Gas Corsa, it's Supachai. Supachai Wedaborapong, third position on the podium for Thailand. Great scenes here in the Lamborghini Cup. Of course, after this podium ceremony, all of the teams and drivers will go back to the podium for a mass family photograph. The final dance in the weekend for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia drivers, as the final trophies are given out on the podium for the winning drivers. And then the final Lamborghini Cup trophy will be presented to the winning team representative. That is, of course, to the number 17 crew at RaceCraft. And so the contenders will finish in fine style. There is the final trophy for the winning team, RaceCraft. But on a day when we saw a fantastic revenge and retaliation for the last lap battle yesterday, it's been a win for BC in race 1, a win for SJM Theodore in race 2, Koreans on the podium galore across all 4 classes. Great to see here at home at the Inje Speedium, with amazing battles, emotional scenes, trophies going to those who deserve them, and fantastic racing throughout from start to finish in both race 1 and race 2. The real winners here are Lamborghini. What a fantastic performance, and what a fantastic weekend. Lots of great racing from start to finish. So many great drivers came and put on a fantastic show here at Inje Speedium, and I'm sad it's all over. It felt like it's only just begun. The good news is that hopefully in the future we shall return, but Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia certainly will return, as we are going to take a few weeks break for the summer, and then we'll come back to the magnificent Petronas International Circuit at Sepang in Selangor, in the beautiful country of Malaysia, just outside the nation's capital city of Kuala Lumpur. And we cannot wait to bring that coverage to you for what is going to be the conclusion of the Asian season at Sepang. All the drivers from all 4 class podiums return for a big en masse photograph. But for now, it's time to wrap it up. BC Racing and SJM Theodore have given us magnificent entertainment, with RaceCraft and DW Evans snapping at their heels throughout. What a magnificent race weekend we've had here in South Korea. From me, Jake Sanson, on behalf of everybody at Top Speed Promotions and Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia themselves, thank you so much indeed for watching. We can't wait to bring the next weekend of the championship to you on the first weekend of September at Sepang in Malaysia. For now, it's goodbye. We'll see you in Sepang.